Welcome to part 22. Basically, part 21 was too long, so I decided to split it into two parts. Basically, what we're going to do now is go through some more evidence to show that the willing accomplices in the name of Coffin, Williams, Reynolds and Jack West knew what was going on and were willing accomplices in racketeering, terrorism and murder, aka world service. But now you've gone through 21 parts of this, whether you're a member of the public, whether you're looking to mount your own class action lawsuit against Patton West for whatever, whether you're the FBI, basically you need to understand that Patton West has only had two things going for her since the start, and that is a secret weapon in which she can beat people into submission and convince them she's something special when she's something disgusting and horrible. The other weapon she has is her ability to lie.
It doesn't matter what is actually true.
Carrying on with Patton West in the vein that the truth does not actually matter, I want to share in closing some of the more vicious and dumbass lies that this idiot posted online to try to convince her cult that I was the villain and she was what she advertises herself as, a minor deity. For the record, I've never had any problems with the police, period. I may have a couple of parking tickets somewhere, but not for many years. And the only lawsuits I've been involved in are with Patton West. The one I launched against her and won, and the two extortion scam lawsuits she launched against me with her sidekick Reynolds. Now, compare my record with Patton West. Well, if you've come this far, I don't need to persuade you of anything. So I just want to share some more lies that Patton West published about me because I was telling the truth about her. What follows are excerpts from one of our websites, web pages. What you're looking at now is basically the header, which describes the material that follows. Next slide. Yes, this is part of the material on our website, and ignore the first 2/3. I mean, read it if you want. It's been covered already. I'm basically saying that Patton West's business model relies on her ability to convince the public that her lies are their truth. So now let's go down. Extortion scammer John Watson under lockdown. Well, I'm not the extortion scammer. That must be obvious. If you've reached part 21, I'm not the extortion scammer. But again, Patton West lives by lies. It doesn't matter what is actually truth. She's a card-carrying Satanist, so everything is inverted. So I become the scammer for outing her by telling the truth publicly and taking her to court. I become the scammer and the extortionist, and apparently I've been under lockdown. We go on. International felony arrest warrant officially prevents John Watson from crossing international borders. Well, that again is just an out-and-out lie. If I wanted to cross borders, I can do that. There is no international felony arrest warrant officially issued for me. The police know where I am. I'm not in hiding. If I was, I wouldn't be producing this material, asking for the police's help. Anyway, after terrorizing Dr. Devra Patton West, so I've had 19 years of terrorist attacks against me, but apparently I've been terrorizing Dr. Devra Patton West. Let's remind ourselves that Patton West isn't a doctor of anything, unless you think that the two fake doctorates she says the Christ gave her in person are authentic. She goes on to talk about me after terrorizing Dr. Devra West and other US victims with a slander-driven extortion scam. Who's been running an extortion scam for 35 years? There's no evidence of that involving me at all, but there's a mountain of evidence about Patton West doing that very thing. But like every psychopath, every insane narcissist, Patton West dresses her victims with her own crimes. She projects her own crimes onto her victim. She's Satanist, so everything's inverted. She goes on, issued a felony arrest warrant to bring him to justice the moment he attempts to leave Canada, where he fled. I didn't flee. I left in 2005. I didn't flee from the United States after receiving the cold stare and the big stick of US court orders. I only launched my lawsuit in 2003. I got my result in 2008. I'd left the States in 2005. Again, it's all lies, but apparently all allowed under religious freedom laws. And as you can see, she's very spiritual, isn't she? Right, getting through customs at any international checkpoint will be met with handcuffs, his immediate arrest and his extradition to the United States to stand trial for multiple count felony charges. What charges? For orchestrating a vicious character defamation and slander campaign targeting Dr. Devra West while demanding a payoff. Justice will be served. Internet crime will not go unpunished. Yeah, well, the payoff she's referring to is the award that the Montana court awarded me when I won my fraud lawsuit. But she's not going to mention that. She's not going to mention I won it. She's not going to mention the award. She's just saying I'm after some kind of payoff. Yep, justice is going to be served for internet crime. There's no doubt about that. So in the same vein of huge lies, let's go down beyond the fourth paragraph to the image with the two red arrows. This was from her website, and she's talking about me. Dubbed the new Western frontier, prosecuting internet crime is increasingly being met with international and multi-country law enforcement collaborative cooperation to surveil and arrest criminals like John Watson, who run extortion rackets by making death threats and launching slander attacks on victims while demanding extortion money to stop internet and mail slander campaign. Again, if you come this far, you know everything I've said is the truth. I have the evidence to back it up. These are just more lies because, as we know, the truth doesn't matter. She goes on, many thanks to law enforcement in the USA and Canada who have joined together to fight cybercrime, internet extortion and money fraud scams. Criminals like John Watson, a British citizen, cost US taxpayers untold millions of dollars for investigation and prosecution. Again, just total, utter lies, utter lies. Again, Patton West is just portraying her crimes onto me. And again, this is what she does and been doing for 3.5, 4 decades. Of course, as an extortionist, Patton West would know what the costs were to the public taxpayer. Look at some of the cases above, which we've all looked at before. That is the tip above the water. There's much more below the surface, but that will come out at a trial. Next page. Finally, we would make these 2 points about Patton West's magic international arrest warrant. How come after all this work that Patton West alleges that the US and Canada authorities have done in respect of Watson's alleged crimes that they do not arrest him in Canada or the UK or even contact him? They know where he is, so why has he not been arrested? Because like all the other pronouncements on our website and Facebook pages, it is all a pack of lies. Patton West knows it's a pack of lies, which is why she asserts that the non-existent warrant will only be served if he tries to travel. How convenient that all travel is presently much shut down. It is more bluster, more bullshit, more propaganda by a criminally insane narcissist who knows the truth is kryptonite to what she calls world service. We challenge Patton West to get her international arrest warrant served now. Watson is more than happy to cooperate with the authorities in this matter. We believe that the FBI, the lead agency in interstate racketeering murders and suspected serial killers, will follow the evidence to where it leads. We have the evidence. Watson has made it clear that if being arrested is what it takes to get a career criminal, a murderer, and a suspected serial killer and their accomplices into a criminal court, let's get on with it. Yeah, blah, 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 down to the bottom. Next are images of real arrest warrants, 2 of them issued against Patton West, one for criminal check fraud, the other for felony theft. And as a bonus, there's a copy of the newspaper article announcing Patton West's conviction for assaulting her business partner, Dr. Cole, which the following day she denied on her website ever happened. Now, while she was in Arizona, and because the truth was going up about her activities, and she basically believed I was the one putting up the truth, she went full on with her lies, BS, propaganda about my crimes against her, my non-existent crimes. Well, we've just dealt with that. But the propaganda department did not stop there. After Patton West basically bought her legal result by outspending me in court, suddenly she's declaring her legal victory against me, which of course, again, is lies, propaganda and BS. I won the fraud lawsuit. That's it. That's all I was interested in. To avenge that, she basically got her cult member, Williams, to fund lawsuits against me, which they got, and they've got a piece of paper that says I owe them 10 million. Now, let's get into the publicity about their so-called legal victory. The next gigantic propaganda stroke defamation piece came from Julio Williams. Yeah, that was the idiot who staked his reputation and integrity on defending Patton West, blah, 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 blah. Now, according to what I know about this piece, it was authored by Williams. At least he signed off at it at the bottom. I don't know whether he did author it or Patton West authored it for her minion and posted it with his name on the bottom. The point is, we know Williams has been funding her for 20 years, supporting her, marketing her, and giving her idiot testimonials. So either way, he's as guilty as hell. Now, remember, Patton West and her stooge Reynolds served me for defamation, and I didn't turn up. They got summary judgment for defamation. That was it, period. First slide. Dr. Devra West wins permanent injunction. Judge exposes cyber extortion scam against Rishi Devra. Can you believe this? Can you believe this? Having gone through parts 1 to 21 of this, can you actually believe the size of this lie? 2 things stand out. First of all, the judge was not investigating anything to do with cyber extortion scams against anybody, let alone Rishi Devra. The second and most obvious thing is that Patton West has been running a cyber extortion scam for as long as the internet has been available to her. I mean, look at all the lies that were up on her website. 95% of the stuff was just lies. Then look at how this grifter has basically farmed her employees and students. Look how she's used her secret weapon to interview wealthy people, make them ill, then charge them for the cure. Look at how she's advertised fake jobs. They come from all over the country. It costs a lot of money. Most of them leave after realising they've got to take a haircut on day one, and the health benefits they were promised were non-existent. Those that remain as slaves or just used until all their money runs out, then they're disposed of like Kleenex. Then those that go to the employment tribunal to seek some kind of justice end up being defeated because Patton West fields members of a cult as fake witnesses, like she did at the 2 child custody cases for her son. Next slide. Judge exposes cyber extortion scam against Rishi Devra. Lies, lies, lies. A court order has been issued demanding that John Watson, aka Richard Squires, and all aliases shut down the multiple slander websites and also cease a profane email campaign designed to force a payoff from the renowned meditation teacher Rishi Devra West. Stringent incarceration penalties and sanctions for non-compliance give voice to the court's intolerance for using the internet and cyber-stalking as a weapon for terrorising victims. Now, I challenge Patton West to find many instances of me slandering her, because most of what I'm saying about her is the truth. I cannot vouch for those who give me statements, audio or written. I can only take them in good faith. As for a profane email campaign designed to force a payoff from renowned meditation teacher Rishi Devra West, again, she posted that after I won my lawsuit, and I was awarded, I think it was $763,000 by Judge Langton. That is the payoff she's referring to. It's not a payoff. The court mandated that she pay that to me for defrauding me. She goes on, stringent incarceration penalties and sanctions for non-compliance give voice to the court's intolerance for using the internet and cyber-stalking as a weapon for terrorising victims. I really hope and pray that that is the truth. Because if you've come this far and seen all the evidence, the only person terrorising people via the internet is Patton West. We've just gone through that. We've gone through 2 or 3 ways she uses the internet for cybercrimes. Again, I have no history of that, other than sending out emails with the truth in to warn people and also to try and get the authorities to do something about this. Paragraph 2, this site, there are no sites up anymore, serves as a public update on non-Dr. Devra West's legal win against cyberstalker John Milford Watson. My name isn't John Milford Watson, a British citizen living in Canada who masterminded defamation campaign designed to victimise a non-Dr. West, Rishi Devra. Before that, she was Soraya Ma. Before that, she was Devra G. in a financial extortion scheme. Now, the only one doing the extortion is Patton West. She's been extorting money from the public, from her employers and her students since 1991. Again, I sued Patton West for fraud. I won the case. To avenge that, she and her stooge sued me for defamation. I couldn't afford to defend it or to travel to the USA to defend it. She got a summary judgment, and it has nothing to do with cybercrime. But I'm making it about cybercrime, and I've produced all the evidence to back it up. Patton West has zero evidence to back up her claims against me. They're lies. Next page, paragraph 3. After many years of standing up against cybercrime, this is just crazy, and slander-driven extortion scams perpetuated by allegedly unbalanced individual, I guess she's referring to me in the singular, we are pleased to offer this update on behalf of Devra West, Rishi Devra. Of course, Patton West is the cyber criminal. She is the one who uses violence verbally and physically to achieve her criminal ends, most of them being financial criminal ends. And apparently, because I outed her by telling the truth, I suddenly have become an unbalanced individual. And again, there is no Dr. Devra West. Paragraph 4. What began as a civil lawsuit is now a full-on criminal investigation. See how clever that was? She didn't say there that what began as a civil lawsuit that I issued against her in 2003 is now a full-on criminal investigation. Well, she's going to get a wish, because very shortly it is going to be a full-on criminal investigation, but not about me. Carrying on, the litigation against John Watson, aka Richard Squires, et al. Aliases, is now being pursued as a criminal case by the state of Arizona and the Arizona Attorney General's office. This was published several years ago. Maybe their letters or messages to me got lost in the post. The only exchange I've had with the Arizona government came from a detective at a police department near Sedona, asking me to add some information to information they'd received from other victims locally. That's my only contact with the Sedona police, apart from obviously keeping them informed of what is going on. Patton West continues. After seeking legal intervention for an extortion scam, Rishi Devra won a groundbreaking court-ordered permanent injunction against John Watson, who was found guilty of slander scheme to extort or pay off, illegal harassment, cyberbullying, cyberstalking, terrorism and death threats, vigilante-style hate emails, and profound tabloid-like websites. The judge also granted Rishi Devra a $10 million damages award. This speaks loudly of our nation's growing intolerance against cybercrime and all forms of internet use as a weapon of personal bullying and illegal intimidation and monetary scams. Now take everything she says there and apply it to her. Because as I said, her and her stooge issued a defamation lawsuit. I didn't turn up. Yes, they got their summary judgment for defamation. Someone else who put a website up about Patton West in Arizona made this comment on her website about Patton West's victory. In other words, it wasn't a victory. Just more lies. It had nothing to do with a payoff, illegal harassment, cyberbullying, cyberstalking, terrorism, death threats, vigilante-style heat mails, and profound tabloid-like websites. So, again, the lies are just, you cannot imagine how big these lies are. And they keep saying them because, as the Nazis discover, if you keep repeating this bullshit often enough, people will begin to believe it. The judge's order demanded a total cessation and shutdown of all slander activity by all means and by all references, blah, blah, blah. Watson defied the court orders by posting a new slander sites in 2017. Well, when we get into a criminal court, hopefully held under RICO statutes, let's see who's been doing the slander and who's been telling the truth. Law enforcement, we're down to the bottom of the page now. Law enforcement interceded by going to Watson's Canadian residence and issuing a cease and desist demands in 2017, a collaborative action undertaken by Arizonan and Canadian law enforcement. Well, there's a minute bit of truth in there, but just a speckle of truth. I did get a visit from the police in 2017 that asked what the hell was going on. There was no cease and desist order, another Patton West lie. It was never mentioned. I showed them what evidence I had. I believe they were dealing through the US Secretary of State or something, and that information went back, and I never heard a damn thing again because the police aren't stupid. Next page, point 8. An apparently deranged individual with manic obsessive disorder, Watson tried to sidestep detection by law enforcement by using 50 different aliases when sending mass emails to community members and businesses, as well as to spiritual meditation, health, blah, blah, blah. If you look up on the screen now, you'll see that Patton West has a large number of aliases. Again, all she's doing is projecting her crimes onto me. Let's see if I can read them. The regent of the spiritual hierarchy for the Western Hemisphere, the sage of Sedona and the Rishi of the West, the Rishi teacher, the Mataji, the divine mother, the regent, the Western regent, the mother of 10,000 sons. She's been preparing for thousands of years to guide humanity as the light that shines behind leaders and world servers from across the globe. That should have read as the light that shines behind healers and world servers from across the globe. As a planetary regent, her auspicious presence offers the opportunity for private audiences at which their wealth will be assessed. And if she considers them a good target, she'll tell them they've got a serious illness, it's on the way. She can cure it for a large fee. If they don't believe her, they start to feel and experience the same kind of pain and suffering that those who were targeted by her weapon feel. They become believers. They pay her hundreds of thousands of dollars. This has been going on for 35 years. Oh yeah, as an instrument of mercy, she offers the phenomenon of divine grace healing and the karmic resolution of divine dispensation. Again, more spiritual gobbledygook. What she's saying is if you have enough money, she can give you a miracle cure. If you have enough money, she can erase your karma. Yeah. All about enlightenment, eh? Next paragraph down, however, cyber forensics have verified the slander activity sites and emails to have originated solely from Watson. Well, if they are that clever, the forensic scientists, then Patton West doesn't stand a chance because there's a freaking mountain of evidence to show that the crimes she's accusing me of have been committed by her over and over again. Paragraph 9, as 218 begins, the conclusive evidence needed to bring Watson investigation into a court of law is in hand, and we are pleased to announce that the final stages are now imminent. Well, that was 218, it's 226 now, that's 8 years later, and I am pleased to agree with part of that statement. At last, all the evidence is now in hand, and we're in the final stage, but not for a civil lawsuit again, where she can buy the judgment she wants by outspending me and other victims in court. This is going to be a criminal investigation held under RICO statutes. More about that shortly. Paragraph 10, Cave Creek, Arizona Sheriff's Department have stepped in to bring Watson to justice and also bring relief to the community from his barrage of tabloid-like slander, hate emails. Please encourage to call to report unwanted emails to Detective Horace. Well, as the authorities know, I'm updating them regularly on what Patton West has been doing. And if you look on the screen now, it looks like many other victims locally have been contacting Detective Horace and his colleagues in Sedona. And here is the welcome map put out by residents of the small village town that Patton West inserted herself into. This was the welcome they gave the planetary region. Paragraph 11. Williams, if it's Williams who wrote it, it may well have been Patton West. We are humbled to witness her dignity and perseverance demonstrated throughout this ordeal. Not an ordeal for her victims, the scores or hundreds of them, ruined, marriages broken up, bankrupted, injured, made ill, several murdered. Nothing about that. Of course, they're pathological liars. We wouldn't expect them to tell the truth. Her focus remains on her service endeavors. What? Racketeering, terrorism and murder? And meditation programs and enlightened teachings with many worthy projects in progress. What worthy projects? I heard from a long-time cult member of Patton West in 2002, that there were many Save the World projects in New Mexico and in Montana before 2002 that hundreds of thousands of dollars were raised for, but not a cent of it went to the good causes that were espoused. It all went into Patton West's pocket. We are grateful for such a positive outcome overall. This is a victory for everyone. Please extend this website to anyone who has been a victim of cyber slander, stalking and bullying. Again, with many thanks to all concerned, Julio Williams, MD, Marionette-in-Chief for Patton West. Now, whether Williams authored this or not, it doesn't really matter. It's from the gang. Either Patton West wrote it for him and published it, or he agreed to publish it. He paid for it, he put it in his name. So again, a pack of totally outrageous lies from Patton West and her criminal gang. Obvious lies, which will obviously be proven to be just that when we get to trial, criminal trial, RICO statutes. So we're at the end of this now. Just to summarize before I get off, on the screen now is an image which, for me, describes Patton West. A disgusting and awful excuse for a human being, a parasite, a deadly parasite that sometimes kills its hosts. And the thing I want to emphasize now is the cult knew exactly what she was doing. Coffin doesn't stay on for 30 years and keep funding her without knowing what she's doing. Williams, 21, ditto. In addition to funding her, lying for her, posting idiot testimonials for her, putting up propaganda pieces like the one we've just gone through. Reynolds was only there for 8 years, but during that time he excelled himself, basically by announcing my murder and a campaign of terrorist attacks over the past 19 years. And of course, Jack West has been there forever, at least 40 years, and warned me that if I went public, I would be murdered. Now, Coffin and Williams stayed on until 2021. It was only after Patton West defrauded the US government out of 150,000 or whatever it was in SBA COVID disaster loans for non-existent employees that they decided to get off the sinking ship. But before they got off, Corrine Coffin was the treasurer, which was basically her role for 30 years, and Williams was president. So she's appointed 2 of her brainwashed and conditioned droids into those positions because she knows she can control them. So they knew exactly what she was doing. Another reason they knew exactly what she was doing is because over the last 5 to 6 years, I have sent probably 500 emails to each of them telling them what Patton West was doing, the terrorist attacks, etc. And of course, no reaction. They just sit on their hands. Of course, the law states that if you're aware that a crime is in progress, you report it. They can't report it. So they sit on their hands, hoping, even up till today, that she can either intimidate me or murder me and make the problem go away. Of course, the problem isn't going away, as she's about to find out. Because a copy of everything is with my lawyer. I'm an ex-Marine. I don't fear death, and all this bullshit about if I cross a border was just fear porn in an attempt to intimidate me. I never had any intention of crossing the border because I don't want to get involved in the game of civil lawsuits again. This needs to be handled by the FBI under RICO statutes. We are talking about multiple murders. We are talking about thousands of acts of terrorism against scores of victims, and 35 years of racketeering in 3 Western states, and nothing done about it. Now, since Patton West recently admitted murdering several people for the benefit of humanity, there shouldn't be a problem, should it? Several people, racketeering 35 years, thousands of acts of terrorism against me and an unknown number of other victims in 3 western states, New Mexico, Montana, and Arizona. So this is my journey through Patton West's meat grinder. Now, what do I want after 23 years of this treatment, after 2 failed attempts to murder me, after thousands of acts of terrorism directed at me, and being aware that she's been racketeering for 35 years and that there are scores or hundreds of victims? Well, what I want is the death penalty for Patton West. I mean, multiple murders, that's a serial killer. Terrorist acts, not a few, not 1 or 2, thousands against scores or possibly hundreds of victims. Racketeering in 3 western states. There's enough evidence there to convict her. On the RICO side of things, no problem at all. She has at least probably 8 qualifying crimes. As far as her cult are concerned, I want each of them to spend at least a decade in jail each. They are all accomplices, willing accomplices, in multiple murders. Hard to prove, but there's a lot of circumstantial evidence there. And what a coincidence that the people who are dying are the ones that are opposing Patton West, are linked to her, members of her cult, or have opposed her in other ways. The cult members knew about this. Reynolds was announcing my murder. Williams was sending me emails trying to intimidate me into not proceeding with my lawsuit and funding her to the tune of $2 million. They're all in on it. So each of these people needs to be arrested, held for trial, and I would expect them to be tried under RICO statutes, and each of the 4 of them, we're talking Coffin, Williams, Reynolds and Jack West, should get at least 10 years each, and maybe Reynolds more for obviously being a willing accomplice in attempted murder. Twice. Oh, and by the way, Reynolds announced the campaign of terrorism, which is ongoing 19 years later. No statute of limitations on terrorism. That's what I want. I want them all brought to justice immediately. And now this movie is finished, it's going to join everything else that is deposited with my lawyer. Now, I'm an ex-Marine. I don't worry about death. I don't care about that side of it. I'm more cared about finishing the mission, and that's what we're doing. So the terrorism continues every day, every night, the shamanic rape every evening. That's what she does. After all, she's criminally insane. And I suspect the attempts to murder me will continue until the FBI take over this inquiry, although with everything deposited at my lawyer, even if I was squashed by a bus next week, accidental, nothing to do with Patton West, everything would go out anyway. So that's where we are now. Happy days. Watch this space. So in closing, what I'm going to do is just post statements, images that cult members, Williams, Reynolds, Coffin and Jack West have made, many of them trying to rubbish me or make me out to be a nut job when basically I'm telling the truth like most of the other victims. God knows there's enough of them. And some of these images, postings you're going to see are not directed at me. They're directed at other victims that stood up and told the truth, or they're just general denials from members of the cult that Patton West has probably instructed to do something, say something, to deny the truth. In other words, Patton West sticks to her maxim that the truth doesn't actually matter if she can persuade the public, the police, the courts, her cult members that her lies are their truth. And backing up her lies willingly are members of the cult who, maybe not understanding, are complicit in her crimes. I guess some of them may be rounded up after Patton West has been processed and after Williams, Coffin, Reynolds and Jack West have been processed. But on the screen now are three images. I mean, Patton West is a career criminal. She's a psychopathic, serial-killing nut job with delusions of grandeur. The first property you're looking at is the compound in Victor, which after I reported her crimes to the Secretary of State for Montana in January 2004, her corporation, the one she used to money launder the proceeds of crime, the Circle of Divine Unity, was struck off. This forced Patton West to move 100 miles north to Lakeside, Montana, which of course she billed as Shambhala and persuaded idiots like Dr. Cole to give up 66% of their net worth in order to accompany her to Shambhala. Of course, once she got there, she just did the same as she did in Victor and eventually was forced to leave Montana for good for Arizona. What you're looking at on the screen now are pictures of her non-existent compound. These images are images of Robert and Tabby Ivy's property that Patton West fraudulently used to represent her non-existent compound in Montana. This massive deception was part of a large fraud for the public, in that Patton West was trying to represent herself as being a wealthy guru and using Robert and Tabby Ivy's property as part of that fraud, hoping that other wealthy individuals, spiritual seekers, would take her seriously and join her cult. As the Whitefish Pilot newspaper article published on 12th of July 2007 states, Robert and Tabby Ivy, the real owners of this property, wrote to Patton West on several occasions over a year, 18 months, 2 years, whatever, asking Patton West not to use images of their property on her website and in her brochures, in Patton West brochures. Of course, Patton West ignored all of that. I mean, she's been getting away with murder since 1991. A couple owning a property that she's representing as her own is not much of an obstacle, is it? So to be concise, let's add a timestamp here. The images of Robert and Tabby Ivy's property were posted on Patton West's website in the summer of 2007. Let's get specific, July 2007. At the same time, July 12th to be specific, Patton West is in court as a witness for her son in the child custody case. Counsel asked Patton West if she would characterize her company as a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. Patton West says correct. Of course, in reality, that is not true. In reality, in July 2007, Patton West owed the government over $2,000 in unpaid employment insurance. She had a lien against her for that. Patton West and her family were crammed into what I believe is Dr. Cole's house, having just been evicted from another property, being behind on payments for that. On the screen now is an email from Patton West's daughter-in-law, Jamie Hayward, which explains what was going on at the time, the truth of what was going on at the time. On the screen now is a lengthy email from Patton West's business manager, Rebecca West. This was sent to me in March 2007. And as you can see, it explains the absolute horror, squalor going on at the workplace, which clearly from Rebecca West's comments and probably half a dozen other employees' comments, is a dangerous workplace. No arrests, no criminal charges, nothing, just moves on to Arizona, does the same thing all over again. Now, the next image is of the mansion, huge property that she rented while inserting herself into a community in Arizona. Basically, that got that all went wrong. She got evicted from that, owing $80,000 in rent arrears. Anybody still think this idiot is a guru? And in case I haven't made it clear already, all that Patton West has ever had going for her is her evil nature and her desire to control other human beings. That's what led her to go to the Robert Jaffe School for Energy Mastery between 1990 and 1991 and acquire a weapon she could use to manipulate people, to control them, to rob them, defraud them, extort them, to embezzle from them. If they oppose her, to injure them, make them ill, and in cases like myself, murder them. So Patton West was never a guru. She was just a criminal with an unusual weapon, a weapon that is not regarded as a weapon under legal statute. That's why her reign of terror has lasted 35 years, but it's about to come to a sudden end, not just for her, but for her accomplices. Let's see what some of her accomplices have said at her instructions, at her behest.
It doesn't matter what is actually true. That all you want is your money.
I want to be paid for the time that I work. That's it. That's the end.
You just want to be paid.
That's it. That's it.
Even though there was no agreement, nothing in writing, nothing.
Oh, there were agreements, Devra, between you and I, but they turned out not to be worth anything.
That's right. They turned out not to be worth anything at all.
Mm. You don't allow anyone to go off and do anything on their own. That you are the ultimate control freak.
Absolute control freak, John.
Yeah.
And I continue my affairs exactly along those lines.
As you did with Millennium Mind until you change your mind.
I am going to continue to be the sole person, no one else.
That is the truth! You are fucking over a spiritual teacher, for Christ's sake!
Because I feel stabbed in the back by you, John. I feel literally stabbed in the heart, stabbed in the back. I feel fucked up the ass. I feel so fucked over by you.
Listen,
I'm not going to take this laying down. If you want to sue, let's go so fucking down and dirty. Huge expenses, John. And it isn't going to come out of my pocket. It will come out of yours. It doesn't matter what is actually true. That all you want is your money.
I want to be paid for the time that I work. That's it. That's the end.
You just want to be paid.
That's it. That's it.
Even though there was no agreement, nothing in writing, nothing.
Oh, there were agreements, Devra, between you and I, but they turned out not to be worth anything.
That's right. They turned out not to be worth anything at all.
Mm. You don't allow anyone to go off and do anything on their own. That you are the ultimate control freak.
Absolute control freak, John.
Yeah.
And I continue my affairs exactly along those lines.
As you did with Millennium Mind until you change your mind.
I am going to continue to be the sole person, no one else.
That is the truth! You are fucking over a spiritual teacher, for Christ's sake!
Because I feel stabbed in the back by you, John. I feel literally stabbed in the heart, stabbed in the back. I feel fucked up the ass. I feel so fucked over by you.
Listen,
I'm not going to take this laying down. If you want to sue, we'll go so fucking down and dirty. Huge expenses, John, and it isn't going to come out of my pocket. It will come out of yours. It doesn't matter what is actually true. That all you want is your money.
I want to be paid for the time that I work. That's it. That's the end.
You want to be paid.
That's it. That's it.
Even though there was no agreement, nothing in writing, nothing.
Oh, there were agreements, Deborah, between you and I, but they turned out not to be worth anything.
That's right. They turned out not to be worth anything at all.
You don't allow anyone to go off and do anything on their own. That you are the ultimate control freak.
Absolute control freak, John. Yeah. And I continue my affairs exactly along those lines.
As you did with Millennium Mind until you change your mind.
I am going to continue to be the sole person, no one else.
That is the truth. You are fucking over a spiritual teacher, for Christ's sake.
Because I feel stabbed in the back by you, John. I feel literally stabbed in the heart, stabbed in the back. I feel fucked up the ass. I feel so fucked over by you.
Listen,
I'm not going to take this laying down. If you want to sue, we'll go so fucking down and dirty. Huge expenses, John, and it isn't going to come out of my pocket. It will come out of yours. It doesn't matter what is actually true. That all you want is your money.
I want to be paid for the time that I work. That's it. That's the end.
You want to be paid.
That's it. That's it.
Even though there was no agreement, nothing in writing, nothing.
Oh, there were agreements, Deborah, between you and I, but they turned out not to be worth anything.
That's right. They turned out not to be worth anything at all.
You don't allow anyone to go off and do anything on their own. That you are the ultimate control freak.
Absolute control freak, John. Yeah. And I continue my affairs exactly along those lines.
As you did with Millennium Mind until you change your mind.
I am going to continue to be the sole person, no one else.
That is the truth. You are fucking over a spiritual teacher, for Christ's sake.
Because I feel stabbed in the back by you, John. I feel literally stabbed in the heart, stabbed in the back. I feel fucked up the ass. I feel so fucked over by you.
Listen,
I'm not going to take this laying down. If you want to sue, we'll go so fucking down and dirty. Huge expenses, John, and it isn't going to come out of my pocket. It will come out of yours. It doesn't matter what is actually true. That all you want is your money.
I want to be paid for the time that I work. That's it. That's the end.
You want to be paid.
That's it. That's it.
Even though there was no agreement, nothing in writing, nothing.
Oh, there were agreements, Deborah, between you and I, but they turned out not to be worth anything.
That's right. They turned out not to be worth anything at all.
You don't allow anyone to go off and do anything on their own. That you are the ultimate control freak.
Absolute control freak, John. Yeah. And I continue my affairs exactly along those lines.
As you did with Millennium Mind until you change your mind.
I am going to continue to be the sole person, no one else.
That is the truth. You are fucking over a spiritual teacher, for Christ's sake.
Because I feel stabbed in the back by you, John. I feel literally stabbed in the heart, stabbed in the back. I feel fucked up the ass. I feel so fucked over by you.
Listen,
I'm not going to take this laying down. If you want to sue, we'll go so fucking down and dirty. Huge expenses, John, and it isn't going to come out of my pocket. It will come out of yours. It doesn't matter what is actually true. That all you want is your money.
I want to be paid for the time that I work. That's it. That's the end.
You just want to be paid.
That's it. That's it.
Even though there was no agreement, nothing in writing, nothing.
Oh, there were agreements, Devra, between you and I, but they turned out not to be worth anything.
That's right. They turned out not to be worth anything at all.
Mm. You don't allow anyone to go off and do anything on their own. That you are the ultimate control freak.
Absolute control freak, John.
Yeah.
And I continue my affairs exactly along those lines.
As you did with Millennium Mind until you change your mind.
I am going to continue to be the sole person, no one else.
That is the truth. You are fucking over a spiritual teacher, for Christ's sake.
Because I feel stabbed in the back by you, John. I feel literally stabbed in the heart, stabbed in the back. I feel fucked up the ass. I feel so fucked over by you.
Listen,
I'm not going to take this laying down. If you want to sue, let's go so fucking down and dirty. Huge expenses, John. And it isn't going to come out of my pocket. It will come out of yours. It doesn't matter what is actually true. That all you want is your money.
I want to be paid for the time that I work. That's it. That's the end.
You just want to be paid.
That's it. That's it.
Even though there was no agreement, nothing in writing, nothing.
Oh, there were agreements, Devra, between you and I, but they turned out not to be worth anything.
That's right. They turned out not to be worth anything at all.
Mm. You don't allow anyone to go off and do anything on their own. That you are the ultimate control freak.
Absolute control freak, John.
Yeah.
And I continue my affairs exactly along those lines.
As you did with Millennium Mind until you change your mind.
I am going to continue to be the sole person, no one else.
Patton West's voice that you just heard was a recording made in March 2003, and basically the image on the screen now succinctly depicts Patton West's business model, criminal business model. We are now in 2026. The point I want to make before ending this video is that the senior members of the cult that would be Coffin, Williams, Reynolds, and Jack West knew what was going on, knew it was a criminal gang masquerading as a religious outfit, and they all stayed with Patton loyally, funding her, Coffin and Williams, and providing loads of testimonials to how wonderful she was. That was mainly Williams, Jack West, and Reynolds. And let me see, Coffin and Williams remained as officers of Patton West's corporation, the one she used to money launder the proceeds of crime, until 2021. And only then did they leave after Patton West defrauded the US government. They decided, oh dear, this isn't an individual that we can terrorize, defame, intimidate, and perhaps murder. This is the US government. So Coffin and Williams finally got out. This should be enough for the authorities to use to arrest them all for being willing accomplices in decades of racketeering in 3 western states, New Mexico, Montana, Arizona, thousands of acts of terrorism against victims, and of course 5 to 7 suspected murders, including the 2 attempts to take me out.